Welcome to Certified Black Weirdo, where we talk about the weird work of one Black artist a week. My name is Angela Tharp, and I'm glad you're here, and we'll go ahead and jump in. Thanks for being here. Bye. Hello. Oh my gosh. First, if you're just now meeting me, hello. And if you have seen my stuff before, maybe you haven't noticed, hopefully not, but it's been taking me a while to record. It's been like 2 weeks since my last long video, and then I don't know how long since my last short, at least a week. And so I just wanted to say I'm trying to figure out my little schedule, how to do everything. I'm a teacher, so that's like my job that I definitely need to make sure that I prioritize so that I can keep the lights on. And then I'm also a writer, and I write poetry, and I still have had time for that. That's like I have like a morning routine that I've had forever. I wrote fiction in the morning for years, and then just switched to poetry in the summer, which has been weirdly really lovely for me. But anyway, I wake up and I like journal and I write and I read, and that's sort of like how I ground myself in the morning, which is really nice. So I still have that, and I study, like I got my MFA in fiction, which you don't really, some people do that, some people don't. It doesn't really determine, whether you're a good writer, whether you publish, whether you have a career in writing. But yeah, I wrote fiction forever in the mornings. And then, I don't know, when I finished school, I kind of just like lost the energy for it. Or, I still love it, and maybe I'll go back to writing novels. Short stories are a lot easier to make time for. But I don't know, I took a poetry class after forever. It's something I'd been interested in for a long time. And then I just took the class and was like, oh my God, I loved it. Like, this is like, it feels like it's like, you can still tell stories. It's kind of the kind of poetry I write. It's like little tiny stories, narrative poetry. But they can be really condensed, and they can kind of explore, what's happening in your world. And like, you can kind of like make it a little bit fictional, but also make it true, in the sense that like you're taking like a moment and you're like exploring it, turning it into art. So anyway, I have time for that. But I also write essays, and I have like a culture blog, and I have all this stuff, and I'm trying to figure out like the time that I have after my job, like how do I manage it so that I'm not like burning the candle at both ends? Is that a saying? Burning the candle to the end of the wick? I don't know. I was feeling a little bit like not burned out with any specific thing, but just kind of like there's so many things, and how do I keep them all of the plates in the air? Another weird metaphor. So anyway, I'm trying to figure that out. But one solution I came up with is maybe we've got 4 weeks on here, which I still want to do. I love doing this, and it's like I am a writer. That's like how I see myself. And I want to make sure that I'm making time to write, because like that was kind of slipping away a little bit. But I also love talking to you guys, and it's like really fun to take the ideas I would put in like an essay and kind of like work them out, or think about them, or think about other people's art in a like less formal way than writing an essay about it. So I want to make sure I have time for both, but I got to figure out how to do that and not write. So anyway. But one thing I decided was like maybe, we have album week. Sorry, look at my notes over here. My TV show week, movie week, and then wild card week, which was Artsy World last week, which was really fun. And thank you guys for responding to that. That was really fun. Anyway, but I was thinking after a cycle, maybe we'll have a break week, which is what this week is. We'll also make a video, but I'll kind of just talk about the culture recs that I recapped. And it's kind of very specific too, but I'll link it here, I guess. But like basically at the end of every month, I'm kind of like, here's a bunch of other stuff that I was watching, reading, listening to, and I just do it in like a 2-minute video. And so maybe I'll make a longer one during break week, so that there's not like the research element that comes with doing the regular week stuff. So maybe that will be helpful. And then I'll just I think I'll do a short on the break week of the books that I finished, which is a huge feat for me, because it takes me a long time to finish reading something, because I like to read like 20 things, not 20 things, but like a lot at a time. So maybe I'll link that too. I'll put both of them like at the end of this video in case you want to see. But yeah, I think that's what we'll do, because I want it to be weekly, but I want it to be sustainable, so that I'm not writing, or I'm like I was waking up at like 5 so that I could like record and write and get ready for school. And it was just kind of like, I can't do this forever. I can do all of this like this forever, even though I want to do teaching, writing, and YouTube, you know, maybe forever. I love talking. It is really fun. It's like, I think that I didn't realize, you know, I'm kind of like internet phobic, or I used to be, and it's been really interesting to kind of be like, oh, the internet is just like people. We're just hanging out, you know, and it's like the algorithm is scary. Surveillance is scary. Being tracked is scary. Marketing can be scary, but like the people on the internet are not the issue. And it's actually really super cool to talk to you guys. So, yeah, I want to figure all that out. Anyway, okay, I'm trying to make this like 15 minutes, so we're at 5 already. So I'm going to talk about some of the culture recs that I referenced that I was reading, watching, listening to at the end of January. And I think I'll do a new kind of what I've been reading, watching, listening to at the end of February, and just kind of like do a roundup, because each week we focus on like one thing. And so doing some kind of roundup is like, here's all these other things that were interesting. Okay, and so here's what was in that video. So we've got Lonely Crowds, which is a super good novel. Oh gosh, I should put all the authors on my little list. Is it Stephanie Wambugu? Hold on. Lonely Crowds. Yes, Stephanie Wambugu. Super, super good book. I finished that, which I'm very proud of. In the little short, I'll celebrate all the things that I finished, because it takes me a while. You know, it's like I'm very laser focused in a lot of ways, but then because I want to do so much, and I think I like crave the mental stimulation that I had when I was in school my whole life. I'm finally not in school anymore. I just like want more and more. Like I want to read more. I want to watch TV more. I want to like write more. And then it just takes me forever to finish because I've put so much on my plate, and I'm trying to be like, okay, what do you actually need on this plate? And then you can get another plate. I'm focused. Anyway, so Lonely Crowds by Stephanie Wambugu. Queenie by I think it's Candice Cardi Williams. That was great. I finished that. And then those are the two that I finished. And then I also finished this book called Magical Negro by Morgan Parker, who's an amazing poet and so funny, and like kind of taught me what poetry could be in a way that was really exciting. Like I kind of like stumbled upon her book at the public library when I lived in Iowa, and I read all 3 of her books that were out at that time. And she has one called There's More Beautiful Things Than Beyonce, and then there's one, what's the other one? I just read that. Oh, I didn't even read Magical Negro right now. I've read it before, but what is it called? Hold on. Morgan Parker poet. Other People's Comforts Keep Me Up at Night. I just finished that one again. That was really good. That was the 3rd book. But anyway, and she has an essay collection called What You Get What You Pay For, which is really good. All of her stuff is good. She has a YA novel. I haven't read that yet, but alas. Anyway, that's another book I finished, but that's not on this list. So we've got, because this is just what I was reading when I made, this is all getting weirdly tied together, but the things that I recommended that I was in the process of reading at the end of January were Lonely Crowds, a book called Authentic about like race and racial microaggressions in the workplace, which is super good. This biopic about Basquiat, Queenie, and then One Battle After Another, which I know people have a lot of opinions about. So I'm just gonna I'll spend like 10 minutes maybe. No, excuse me. We have like 7 minutes left. Okay, I will give, we got 5 things. Maybe I'll just pick one. I don't know. I just wanted to talk to you guys. I didn't really think of the structure as well as I should have. Okay, maybe we'll just spend 10 minutes and see how it goes. We'll do 2 minutes per thing. Okay, so also I got my little timer, which I very much need all the time. Okay, I'm going to talk about Lonely Crowds for 2 minutes, and then we'll just go down the list, and then we'll wrap up. Maybe we'll try to keep it definitely under 25. Okay, so Lonely Crowds by Stephanie Wambugu. It's about these 2 friends. I'm going to try not to give you spoilers, but I'm just going to kind of like unpack a little bit more than I did in the short. It's about these 2 friends. It follows them their whole life, or not their whole life. It follows them from like when they're children to when they're like in their mid-20s. Both of them are artists. One of them has like a really go-getter, not ruthless, but like kind of like I'm not here to make friends energy. And the other one is like really introspect. She's like the protagonist whose mind we're kind of like following in the book. But she's like a lot more introspective. I mean, maybe they're both introspective. We get her perspective. And, oh gosh, 1 minute. And anyway, she's just a lot more careful, I would say. And it follows their relationship and kind of like the like romantic underpinnings of their friendship, that kind of like evolve as they evolve. And it's just really, really interesting. It's like about art and being an artist and friendship and the friends you have as a kid and how those relationships like change as you get older. The writing is super gorgeous if you like literary, I mean, in general, but if you like literary fiction especially, it's like, if you've read Elena Ferrante's work, my Brilliant Friend series, it's very similar to that, but it's, you know, like Black and like first gen and funny in like a dry way, but in a way that was like really weird and exciting. And I don't know, I just thought it was so good, and it was like 300 pages, and I didn't start. I bought it a while ago. I bought 2 books. So I was feeling very ambitious. And then I just now picked it up last month and just like tore through it. It was super good. Okay. And that's 2 minutes on Lonely Crowds. Are we just going to go through all of it? Let's just go through all of them. Okay. That is that. And next. Okay. Next is Authentic by Jodi-Ann Burey. I'm still in the middle of this one. I'm listening to it. Well, here's the thing. I was listening to it on Spotify, but then I got like feeling weird about Spotify because of all of the ICE stuff, and was just like permeating everything. But it was just kind of like, I don't know, I think with stuff like that, it's really tricky because you're like, or maybe it's not that tricky. It's tricky in a capitalist society where we're used to just everything being corrupt to like be like, okay, here's how I can respond with where I put my money, right? And I think I was just kind of in a place where I was like, I don't want to put my money here, you know, and hopefully I can say that way. You know, I've gone back to some of these big corporations that you know, I stopped subscribing to before, like HBO, because they were canceling all these Black shows, which I've talked about how much it's frustrating to me before. And yeah, oh gosh, okay, no, this one, but anyway, I went back because then they put more shows on, and Spotify, you know, it's just like, it's a whole thing. But right now I couldn't listen to it anymore because I stopped with Spotify. And so I have Libro FM, which is like an alternative to Audible where you can subscribe and get audiobooks, but I didn't have credit. So anyway, I've listened to like half of this, but what I found, 42 seconds, really interesting about it is it speaks to the way that race permeates every part of Black existence. And, you know, like she talks a lot about like people with disabilities and how like discrimination against them is like everywhere in the workplace too, and how it can feel really gaslighty when something is happening to you and people aren't really acknowledging it. I said in the short that like luckily I work at a space right now where I don't totally feel that a lot because I'm around Black people of color a lot. But I just found it really comforting, the idea that like, hey, we need to be talking about these things. Oh gosh, out of time. We need to be talking about these things, and we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of each other, and we need to remember what's important, you know, in the spaces that we're in, even at work, right? And I think that it kind of goes against the idea of like productivity for productivity's sake, being number one for being number one's sake, which like as like a former athlete has been my jam, and in ways that like caused me to burn out and caused me to like be anxious, you know, and caused me to have to be like, okay, how do you balance? How do you rest? Like I maybe I'll put this in the next little short of the culture roundup, but I'm reading 2 books right now. One is called The Cure for Burnout, which is really, really good. I read Burnout, another Burnout book by Emily Nagoski, who I love all of her books, but this is the second one by, her name's also Emily. I think it's like Emily Emily, I don't know what the other Emily's in. I think it's like Ballesteros. Okay. Anyway, she has a book called The Cure for Burnout. So good. Like, I'm realizing that I have a problem with like I want to be good at my job, and I love my job, and I want to be good at writing, and I love writing. I want to show up here, be consistent here. I love being here. But like, I also need to understand that I can't be working, going to bed, working, because I always like then have a day where I'm like, I have to just be on the couch and watch TV all day. I don't have any more energy, and it's like, you don't have to live like that. You've got to balance, the things that are productive and the things that are just for rest. Like, I'm reading Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, which is a romance novel, and it's so fun. And as someone who went to school for fiction and has been super deep in literary world land forever, I was like, no, you need to be reading literary fiction because that's what you learn to read so that you can learn to write. And this isn't as productive as reading that if blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, it does not need to be, not everything needs to be productive. First of all, it is productive because this book is really good. It's called Before I Let Go. It's about this couple who gets divorced and then they're like, should we get back together? And it's so well it is so well written in the sense that it's well communicated, it's engaging, it's propulsive. I was just gonna read, 10 pages yesterday, and I read it for an hour. And I was like, it feels like you're watching, reading it feels like you're watching a movie, But I think it just kind of goes back to the space of I tend to, even in my rest, be like, how is this furthering me professionally? What am I learning? How am I growing? But it's no, you could just watch this. I love Love Island. What does Love Island bring me, right? You could just watch things, read them, enjoy them, rest, and I really need to be better about that. But this book, Authentic, I think was really good about showing why that's important, and specifically when it comes to discrimination. How do you think about work-life balance and think about not pouring your whole life into a corporation, especially if they don't fully see you, right? I don't totally feel like that in my job, but that is something that a lot of people experience, right? And, it's important to think about that. So, Authentic by Jodi-ann. Are we going to get through all of these? I don't know. Should we talk about Basquiat? Okay, we'll do that. We'll just keep going. You can skip around. I just wanted to come hang out. I know it's been a minute. So anyway, there's this movie, indie biopic, about Basquiat that was really weird and really, not funny, because his life was really terrible things happened to him, and kind of speaking to the Authentic book, just also the racial projections onto him that caused him to be treated specific ways and feel alienated and be kind of alone, which happens to a lot of Black celebrities, and it's really scary. But the way that they portrayed his life in this movie was weirdly, the movie was the movie, it was following his life, but I don't know if it's because it was the 90s or because it's indie, but it was just so quirky, and I liked it. I love movies like that. And there's this movie rental place in Atlanta that I love to go to, and they just have a bunch of, they have regular movies too, but they have just a bunch of weird indie movies from the 90s. There's one called Tekno Lust with Tilda Swinson in it. That was just so, I don't know, it's just I like to see that, especially because Hollywood could be this huge mass-produced thing. I think it's just really funny and weird when weird movies come out. But this one, Jeffrey Wright's in it. David Bowie's in it. It was just really, it was interesting to learn things about Basquiat that I didn't know. Similar to, I'm reading James Baldwin's biography right now, and it's so good and so interesting. There's so much that I didn't know about him either. But anyway, it was just a weird, slightly unsettling movie because of his life and everything that happened to him, and also just it wasn't this glossy biopic. It was this experimental thing that was interesting. I still think about it sometimes, so you can go check it out. I wonder if it's streaming. I bet it's streaming. We could check right now. Let's see. Basquiat. Okay, came out in 1996. It's just called Basquiat, and you can watch it for free on Tubi. So if you do, it's also on HBO Max, and which, funny, they do still have some Black stuff for sure. And it is my favorite streaming service. I know it's getting merged with Netflix, and we'll see what happens with that. But I don't know. I feel sometimes I'm mad at systemic things, and I try to figure out how to respond specifically with where I'm putting my limited funds, So I don't know, I guess raging against the machine. Sometimes it's it depends on how, right, you do it. And sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's temporarily effective and it's not. But I think it's important to kind of continually be active. I know some people like don't like to talk about politics, but I think if you're like a person of color or queer or disabled, or you have some kind of marginalized identity, it's like you kind of gotta be, Benicio del Toro's in this movie too, the Basquiat. Anyway, you kind of gotta be tapped in, because it's your life and it's the life of the people around you, and you can live in ignorance, but plenty of people do. That's totally, possible. But I think it's like, in terms of like getting peace, it's better, I think, to be aware than like constantly in denial of what's happening, and figuring out the ways to respond in ways that feel authentic and genuine to you is kind of like the tricky part that you gotta figure out. Okay, we've got Queenie and we've got One Battle After Another, but I think we'll just do one. Should we do One Battle After Another? I don't know. People have hot takes on this. Okay, we'll do 2 minutes with this, and then I'll wrap up so that we're under 25. But okay, so this movie, One Battle After Another, we've seen a while ago now. I personally thought it was pretty good, like for what it was. Like, I think that it was a comedy thriller, so it wasn't super deep. I don't think that Teyana Taylor's character was very well constructed, but I don't think any of the characters were that well constructed. I think like it's kind of genre feeling, if we want to kind of convert it to books, in the sense that like the story is the main element and the characters are just like a part of that story, whereas like with literary stuff or more indie movies or whatever, it's more like the character. Like if you think about like Marty Supreme, for example, like the character is the story, and then we're just following them in a plot that may or may not like have an arc. And so I think that like I had lower expectations of like how fleshed out the characters are gonna be, because I knew it was like an action comedy thriller situation. I did think that like there were so many Black women characters in One Battle After Another, which is why I watched it. And I feel like they were all different from each other. And crucially for me, who like my PhD in Black representation causes me to always fixate on this thing, which is a lot of times Black characters are either, well, used to mostly be like a threat. Like, oh, they're scary Black man walking down the street. Oh, Black woman in, I don't know. Like these weird, like threatening tropes. Now that we're like, have solved racism, just kidding. Now it's like, we're here to help. Like, I'm your emotional support Black friend. I'm your, here, like, I don't have my own life going on. I just am here for you, and I think that, that's not every movie, but that is like the new threat, is like, now I'm a helper. I'm here to help you, and I can't really say no. I don't really have my own story. I'm just here to help you. There's also variations of that, like the gay best friend is like a similar one where it's like, who cares about my life? Let me just talk to you about your life. I'm here to help, and so I just find that really problematic, because I think that what we watch on TV and movies and read in books, from that we learn how the world works, so to speak, subconsciously, and then we expect that for the people in our lives in a way that I think is really harmful. So I liked One Battle After Another specifically because I felt like it didn't do that. I felt like the characters, some of which were, out here, and some of which were more reserved, but all of them were making their own choices, right? And none of them were like, I would argue, like fully in service to white supremacy via white people that they were related to or friends with or whatever. So I thought that was really interesting. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments. Okay, last quick things I want to say, we'll try to keep this under 25, yeah, thank you for bearing with me if you've been around. Hello, welcome, glad you're here if you're new. I'm gonna do weekly videos. We're gonna rotate genres, but we'll take a break after every 4 so that I can kind of like take a break. But I'll make these videos and just kind of recap some other stuff that I've been watching. And thank you for hanging out, and thank you for the conversations in the comments, and just for being, I don't know, internet friends with me. It's really fun, and you guys are so smart, and I love your recs and your comments, and the conversation is something that I've been really wanting, so I really appreciate it. Okay, and the last thing is, if you have, so first of all, that was kind of a distracted into that. Thank you. And y'all are awesome. And if you have any album, TV show, movie, or random wildcard genre recs, what I was thinking we could do is, instead of like voting every week, which is also kind of causing my brain to be on the fritz, if you could put any suggestions in the comments of this video, and then if there's any that you like in the comments, if you like them, that will count as a vote, right? And then I'll just keep all of them in mind for the future, because I think another thing that causes my brain to like be on the fritz, lots of things cause my brain to be on the fritz, but another thing is not knowing what to talk about, and then the week goes by because I have all these other things going on, and then I'm like, oh my god, I didn't do anything. And then I have to like watch something, take notes on it, record it, edit it lightly, not really, and post it all like at the end of the week, and it's just like, it causes me a lot of stress. So if you have any recommendations, the recommendation should be like black, like it doesn't have to be like an all black cast, but like there's like at least one black character that you think is well represented, or like, you know, is interesting, dynamic, not super generic. I guess up to you what that means. And then so it needs to have at least like one black character or contributor, and then it needs to be kind of weird in some way, so like off the beaten path, quirky, alternative, strange, fun, silly, whatever. Those are kind of what this channel, what we'll talk about on here. But if you have anything, please put it in the comments. If you like anything somebody else said, please give it a like so that I can see what people want to talk about, and that will really help me. And then we'll just go from there, and we'll do album week, TV show, movie, wild card, and then we'll take another break where we'll, get recommendations and do it again. Okay, reasonable, good. I did really miss this, but it's hard to do nonstop. I definitely needed to put a break week in there where we can just kind of like do less research, just kind of do more spur of the moment, and reflect on the things I've already watched and read and listened to, which is like a lot of things, because I don't know how to like turn the dial of my brain down to be like, read one book, watch a movie, and then don't watch anything else for the rest of the month. You know, like just calm down. I don't know. My brain is like, anyway, let me know if yours is too, or if you know how to calm. Let me know. I'm figuring it out. I think I just need more work-life balance. Anyway, okay. Thank you for hanging out. Let's see, is there anything else? Not really. I'll talk to you soon. We'll do an album, but give me some break so that I don't have to like figure it out from scratch, because that's kind of hard. Okay, bye.